Today we are talking about eggs and cholesterol. So I hope you have an appetite this morning. If you have already eaten, then maybe this will work for you for the weekend. But we've got some misconceptions to talk about. We've got some cooking to do, some meals to prepare. So let's hop into it. The recipe today is actually very, very simple, very few ingredients, very little prep. It's really kind of set it and forget it kind of situation. I will say this is very scalable as well. So if you have a large family, if you have a small family, if you are looking to meal prep for the week, this is an option. It is eggs, so maybe not for a whole week, maybe like 2, 3 days at a time would probably be a good idea. But again, I'll give you an idea of how to scale everything. And the reason that we chose this recipe today is because we are also talking about cholesterol. If you've tuned into some of our other social media posts this month, and later on this month, you'll see a little bit more information about cholesterol. And eggs, I think, often get a bad rap, and we're gonna kind of change the narrative around that for at least give you some more information about how eggs and cholesterol kind of play with each other, and the kind of influence they have on each other. All right. So as opposed to just standing here talking to you the whole time, or we're going to kind of get cooking, and then we'll give you some information along the way. All right, have something to entertain your eyeballs and your earballs. So first thing, eggs, basic ingredient. We've got a whole dozen. That's 12. Couple options again. Like I said, if you want to do a big meal prep, this is like a casserole dish. So we can do a full big casserole dish if you want to do all 12, which is kind of normally how this is made, but it is just me and my wife, so I'm going to make just for 2 folks, and we're going to use this cutesy little dish here. So all I'm going to do is use 4 eggs. So we're going to start cracking 4 eggs into our bowl here. And while we're doing that, we'll talk a little bit about cholesterol. So cholesterol, what is it to start with? Cholesterol is a waxy fat substance that is found in the body. It is produced naturally in the body. And cholesterol can only be consumed from animal products. All right. You cannot get cholesterol from plants, lentils, legumes, anything like that. So the question on the kind of vegetarian vegan side is a little bit more of a challenge. I'll be honest, I didn't do a whole lot of research on that going into this, but I can find you some more information, send it your way. But for today, we're going to be obviously focused on eggs, and we're going to be focused on the cholesterol on the other side of the spectrum in terms of meat eating. So whisking up our 4 eggs for, this is again going to be two servings. So cholesterol found in the body, produced naturally in the body. About 75% of the cholesterol that is found in our body is made by our body. So actually only 25% of our total cholesterol is from the food that we take in. All right. So again, kind of common misconception, a little bit of a misnomer, I guess, is that a lot of our cholesterol levels is directly correlated with how much we intake, which is true to a degree, but again, we're talking excessive levels here of cholesterol intake to really have an impact. If you don't know already, your body is really, really great at homeostasis. So kind of finding that level of balance in the body where obviously too much of a good thing is always problematic, not enough problematic as well. I'm going to whisk up these eggs. The more you whisk them, the more air you're going to put into it. The more air that you put into it, the more that your casserole will rise. So kind of let you be the judge on that. Again, depending on how deep your dish is as well. That's going to do it for me because I don't know how annoying that is to you to hear that fork on the bowl. We've got some milk of choice. Every 4 eggs is 1/3 of a cup. So a whole dozen is a cup, and you can do the math in between there. So we're just going to pour that in and again, mix that up together. So cholesterol in the body, 75% of it is in the body and 25% of it is from the intake. All right. What does cholesterol do in the body? Why do we need cholesterol? The kind of most important thing is that, maybe not most important, everybody's a little different. It's got a lot of different functions. Most namely that it is in hormone production. So without cholesterol, just like any other kind of nutrient in the body, we run into deficiencies. Processes don't run as well. So hormone production is a big one, and the uptake of vitamins. So it is a fat that moves through your bloodstream, and it assists in transportation through the bloodstream as well. Um, it helps build your cell walls and acts as a barrier for nutrients to pass through as well. So, uh, as you may know, the uh, build of cholesterol, too much cholesterol provides a narrow, or not provides, but it creates a narrowed blood vessel. All right, that's all that plaque buildup, narrowing of the arteries, harder to pass through. So it's basically, if it's a bouncer as your cell membrane, it helps things facilitate things passing through. Too much of that, too many bouncers, nothing can get through, right? So it's a buildup, quite literally. I'm going to add some onions, some bell pepper, and some spinach. Just like anything else that we do here, all of your toppings, your add-ons can be very much up to you, whatever your preferences are. You can add a little bit of meat into this. If you remember our good pal, Chris Powell, he made a similar recipe and he was big on the sausage. So if you want to add some sausage in there, by all, go for it. This out of the way a little bit for you. But I do want to say that the more you add in here, obviously you have things to consider. So especially with meat, as we're kind of talking about cholesterol, while eggs are kind of a big deal again in the cholesterol game, also the meats, processed foods, fats specifically. So again, cholesterol is a fat. Doesn't mean everything with fat is cholesterol, not all cholesterol, all that. But adding sausage, something to be mindful of is that our trans fat and our saturated fats are bigger culprits of heart disease than cholesterol is. Do have some studies on that I can pass along for you as well. Those are the two things that we want to be more mindful of than just necessarily eggs. Everything we wish was super cut and dry, but unfortunately, in this world that we live in, it is not. Everything is complicated. The body is very, very complex. So while you may want one super easy answer, it doesn't always work like that. I'm going to toss these onions right in here, dice this finely as you would like. I'm going to toss some bell pepper in here. I do have some mushrooms probably going to put in here as well. I just did a quarter onion. I guess that's kind of important too. 1 onion per 12 eggs. So I'm going to just do a quarter onion. So that's a little easier than a third. And we'll probably just do, I don't know, we'll start chopping this and see how much we have. But where was I? So I'm not really sure. We were talking about eggs, trans fats, saturated fats. So those are the two things that we do want to limit. Fats as a whole, not necessarily the bad guy here. A little bit of fats makes the body happy. Fat is also essential. It is also essential to our happiness, right? So if we can add a little bit of things that we enjoy mixed with the things that we need, then that is a recipe for success. So I'm going to chop these a little bit more finely since these have a little bit more trouble cooking down. Unless you want really crunchy peppers in your recipe. I think that looks good. And we're going to this last little bit. So we'll go ahead and finish the half a bell pepper and pop that in there. Sometimes, bell peppers, there's different sizes. If you want to add a little spice in there, you can add a little spice. Some crushed red pepper, some jalapenos, whatever makes breakfast to you. I do think it's funny because this is a lot of the ingredients that we kind of put as a base for anything. But since it's eggs, it's breakfast, So we're gonna put a little bit of onion, or we put onion. This is mushroom. We're gonna put some mushroom. Promise, I've cooked before. It's been a while since I've done it on camera, so forgive me. We were making our way through it. But as we continue to talk about cholesterol, so we kind of honed in on the big movers there. Cholesterols. I think that's about all of my basic notes about cholesterol. And again, talking about eggs here. So eggs as well as that cholesterol. Obviously, there's cholesterol in eggs. That is found in the yolk of the egg. So a lot of folks are not big yolk eaters. That is the yellow part of the egg. I'm going to add a little bit of spinach, and we'll chop that up as well. It's kind of hard to multitask to chop and to chat. Yolk of the egg. A lot of folks say that eggs are nature's vitamin, nature's multivitamin. So a lot of benefits in the yolk of the egg, but unlike everything else, too much of a good thing is problematic. So too many eggs can lead to some other issues. Of course, again, there is a lot of fat in the egg, not to mention the excess calories, everything like that. Everything that we eat does have calories for the most part. I guess some things nowadays a little bit weird, but cool. We're getting this all together. I think we're gonna finish up this recipe as we chat. So I'm just gonna kind of mix that together, make sure that it is pretty well mixed. We don't have big clumps of onion, big clumps of peppers or spinach, etc. You can more or less see that. There you go. And all we're going to do is we're going to just pour this into our little casserole dish. Casserole dish. We're going to pop that in there. So two options in terms of cooking this. Unfortunately, we will not sit and watch this cook for until it's done, but we'll kind of give you the guidelines here. Two options. We can put this in the oven, big casserole dish in the oven, but I also have an air fryer. So a smaller dish like this will go in the air fryer. It works pretty much the same thing. We're going to preheat that, pop it in. This size, again, 4 eggs, about 20 minutes, 25 minutes is kind of what I've found to work well. Bigger casserole dish, more eggs. It's probably going to be closer to 30, maybe 35 minutes, depending on the thickness of your dish as well. If you have a very shallow dish, it shouldn't take as long. Thick dish, it's going to take a little bit longer. Almost forgot the most important part. We're going to add a little bit of cheese on top. Also a good indicator to know when the dish is finished, when that cheese starts to melt, get a little bit crispy. So we're just going to grate a little bit of cheese on top. And this is, again, that part that makes us happy. A little bit of cheese goes a long way, just to put a little coat on top. And of course, it's your food. If you want to mix in some cheese, oh, excuse us. If you want to mix in some cheese, you're welcome to do so. Again, this would just pop right in. I'm not going to turn this on just for the sake of sound. But that's pretty much the recipe. So pretty simple. Again, eggs, mix-ins of your choice, veggies, you want to add a little meat. Big takeaways here is that cholesterol is an essential nutrient that we need for hormone production, that we need for cell membrane production, that we need for facilitating nutrients through those membranes as well. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing, and too much of a bad thing is not good, also bad. So body creates cholesterol. 25% of it is from what we intake. So be kind of mindful. Saturated fat and trans fat are going to be a bigger risk factor for heart disease and for cardiovascular disease in general, I guess, than cholesterol alone will be. The general recommendation, I guess, is 1 egg a day. So up to 7 eggs in a week, give or take. Again, you don't necessarily put all 7 eggs on one day. That's just an interesting meal, I suppose. But if you can kind of spread that out across a couple of days. But again, there have been some studies that show that 1 egg a day kind of standard is actually beneficial in reducing heart risk or heart disease risk. So some dice in there. But again, everything in moderation, being very mindful of it. If you have other questions about cholesterol, about eggs, you're welcome to come see me. I'm going to put a few resources in the show notes, kind of go over some basics of what cholesterol is and some dietary recommendations as well. Please do keep in mind that I myself am not a registered dietitian. I cannot give you specific meal by meal advice. But if you have some general questions, I can happily give you those resources, answer some questions within my scope of practice, or refer you to your medical professional to do so. All right. If you folks have any questions, go ahead and send them my way. I think we wrapped up right on time, right at 15 minutes. So again, easy to do, 20 minutes or so. I also put the recipe in the show notes as well for you, so you're welcome to take that with you. But it's been a pleasure being back in the kitchen with you all. You know where to find me. Thanks for tuning in.